Welcome back to You Better Fact Check Because I Had Wine First. I'm Aandrea, and this is episode 2. Remember when I said I would be more consistent? Well, I wasn't. I had every intention of being more consistent, but I didn't. I think 5 Fridays ago, I said that I would post every Friday, and I didn't. And the end of 2020 is upon us. So I figured maybe I would go out with a bang and post 2 episodes. We will see how that works out. Today, we're going to be talking about the appropriate time to introduce sex to your children. Keep in mind, I am a mother of 3, and they are my children, so I can start this topic at whatever age I deem appropriate for my children, as can everyone else. These are my opinions, and possibly some facts. Probably not any facts, probably just my opinion. Nevertheless, I'm going to start with a story. My 7-year-old busted me. And after that, it made me think, what is the appropriate age to have a real conversation about sex and sexuality with your children? So, here it goes. A few weeks ago, my gentleman and I were engaged in adult activities, and there was a knock on my bedroom door. And in true mom fashion, I didn't respond, because the knock was either to come in or for me to come out. After the adult activities were finished and showers were taken and sheets were changed, I was sitting on the edge of my bed. The door was then opened by that time, watching television, and my son comes and he sits by me and says, "Mom, I'm sorry I invaded your privacy." And I said, "Baby, it's fine. You can be in Mommy's room." "No, that's not what I'm talking about, Mom. I'm talking about earlier. I knocked on your door." Keep in mind, soon as he said, "I knocked on your door," my face immediately gets hot because I know what's coming next, but I have to let him finish what he's saying. So, "I knocked on your door and you didn't answer. So, I looked under your door." And I didn't say anything. I sat not looking him in the eye, staring straight ahead at the TV. And I said, "What did you see?" "I don't know. I saw something weird." Or did he say strange? I think he said weird. Immediately, my boyfriend goes to the parent lie. "We were wrestling." Please, people, don't lie to your children. They're not idiots. Because he then responds with, "No, you weren't," with a look of a little bit of shame and horror. I said, "Well, Collins, you did invade Mommy's privacy. Why would you look under the door?" "Mom, because you didn't answer." "But you're not supposed to look under doors. We've talked about this." And not with looking under my bedroom door, but like when you're in public and you knock on the bathroom stall, don't look under the stall. Wait for a response. I'm going to assume that I stopped in the space where I said, don't look under bathroom stalls. Wait for someone to respond. If no one responds, then you kind of jiggle the doorknob. If it's still locked, then they were just stupid for not responding. Anyway, or was I stupid for not responding? Anyway, as per the usual in my podcast, someone called me in the middle of recording. So it threw my train of thought way off. Now I'm trying to reel it back into my son and the looking under the door. So I'm sitting with him on the bed, and like I said, my boyfriend went to the immediate lie of we were wrestling. To which he responded, no, you weren't. And I said, well, Collins, what did you see? Because here's the thing. We're adults, and I need to see if he saw the beginning, the middle, or the end. Depending on where he saw us in this state of adult playtime, it could be more or less traumatizing. And he said, I don't really know what I saw. I am sweating while he's saying this to me and looking at me with such confusion as a 7-year-old should. And so I begin to explain to him while I'm thinking, how large is this crack under my door? Well, it's very large. Because later I, with my friends, went to assess the crack under the door. I laid on the floor and put the phone down so they could see, because we were on like a live phone call. And you can see my entire room, which then made me like laugh, but like the uncomfortable laugh of, oh my gosh, my son saw all of the things, and now we need to have conversations. Well, what are the ages at which you have those conversations? I have an 11-year-old daughter, I have a 9-year-old son, and I have a 7-year-old son, the peeper. And I discussed with a few people just briefly that remember when we were younger and our parents didn't talk about the things, nothing that was really happening with sex or sexuality, or even calling your private parts by what they really are. And I am guilty of doing that as well, calling, the vagina, which is still strange for me to say at 39, calling it like the Pikachu or the hoo-ha or the tootie, to make it more childlike and comfortable for my child, I thought, but it was more comfortable for me. Or calling, little boys' penises weenies or pee-pees, These are things that the age group that I am in, and our parents before us, their parents and elders to them didn't have the conversations about sex and sexuality and the importance of respecting and protecting your body in a way that no one is to touch you, not even a doctor, unless your parent is in the room. There is never a secret to be kept between a child and an adult that isn't that child's parent. If an adult needs for you to keep a secret from your parent, they are not your friend. Things like that. These are the kind of things that I say to my children, because I'm so wary of how the world is, and I know that people are evil and deplorable and think disgusting things about children and want to do disgusting things to them. So, and not even just that, when you're a teenager and your peers are at a maturer state than you are, and they are experiencing sex or talking about sex or just experimenting with things of sexual nature. These are things that you need to be comfortable with talking about saying no to, being at a space where you're ready to say yes to, things like that. Because if you don't talk about it with your teenage daughters and teenage sons, or very young sons and daughters, because I've encountered people who've said they've engaged in the sexing as young as the age of 9. So I think that maybe 7 and 9 is the right time to have the responsible conversations with my kids. My daughter's already 11, so that ship has sailed. The time is now to have it with her, because she's in middle school and she's gorgeous. So people will look at her, men will look at her in a sexual way. One, because she is a young black girl, and black women are always over-sexualized and at an earlier age, and more so than non-black or non-women of color, white women. So we have to think about all of those things when moving through and navigating parenting our young black boys and black girls. I feel like I'm hitting the rambles and rants stage of this conversation, because I have so many thoughts that I need to talk about or want to talk about, and I got 30 minutes. Because it just really shouldn't run longer than 30 minutes. Who's going to listen longer than that? But anyway, I decided to have a conversation with Collins about more so the importance of privacy and the things that happen with your body or your private things as to each other person, right? So explain to him again what I've told him before, like, no one touches your private parts. No adult, none of your peers touch your private parts. If anyone does, you always come to me. There's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing to be scared of, because I will protect you. We had that conversation, and then we had the conversation of what your no-no zone is. Then we talked about the importance of the things that you do are private with your body. I said, you know how mommy hears you laughing with Austin when you guys are both peeing in the bathroom and you're laughing about weenies? And yes, I did say weenies again because he's 7, so it's hard to stop saying it. I said how that's private, and you don't really think that mommy hears you, and you're probably kind of a little embarrassed that I do. It's a little embarrassing when you see grown-ups do things that are private, and you shouldn't spy on people. And if you want to know things, you should ask. I don't think he really fully grasped it, but I will say that later, maybe a week after the incident, I was going into my room with my boyfriend, and we were locking the door because we were going to talk about Christmas stuff. And I told him you couldn't come in. I was about to close my door, and he goes, this is how I know he has good sense and he understood what was going on. He goes, "You're about to do that thing I saw you doing, aren't you?" And then I just left my door open because I didn't want to be judged by a 7-year-old. And I was like, no, I'm not. We're just talking. So now I'm a 39-year-old woman who has to keep my door open so my child does not think that I'm having the sex or the weirdness or the strange things behind closed doors. But back to, when is a good time to have sex and sexuality conversations with your children? Anytime is a good time. Kids are smarter than we were when we were younger. They're not out making mud pies how we were. They're on the computer. They're learning things. They're processing faster than we are. They are more thinkers than we were. I see them all the time getting being less how we were. We were more physical and out in the world and doing strange things and playing hide and go get it and doctor, and they're just on their computers or on their phones, TikToking and all that crazy shit. So they have a more mature mindset in that way. Do they have more street sense than we do? Hell no. But they're mature in a different way than we are. They're more emotionally mature, I think, than we were at their same age, if that makes sense. So just continue to have open dialogues with your kids. You don't want to be that parent with a pregnant 15 or 13-year-old because you didn't have the conversation with her. I mean, if she still ends up pregnant at 15, that's fine. But don't let it be because she didn't know all of the things to protect herself, or a boy to protect himself from fathering a child, because you just didn't have the conversations. Because it was just assumed that you would eventually get that knowledge. I don't know who they thought we would get the knowledge from, but I guess since our grandparents and great-grandparents had so many children so young, maybe they just didn't know what knowledge to give us. That's not nice. I retract that. But just be open with your kids if you have kids. If you don't have kids, be understanding of parents with children, and that this shit is fucking hard. And we are trying just not to break them every day. You know? Trying to get them through this set of 24 hours, then the next. And so on and so on. But also, put a towel under your door when you're doing the sexy time. Or get your apartment to replace your door, because who knew that there was an 1.5-inch gap under a bedroom door? Not me. Just being an old nasty freak. And anyway, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. This is Aandrea with You Better Fact Check Because I Had Wine First, talking about sex. Baby, let's talk about you and me. Anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And this is my second episode of season 2. Hopefully I'll get a third episode of season 2 before 2020 is out. We'll see. Or maybe not. I don't know. Thanks so much for listening to, again, You Better Fact Check Because I Had Wine First. Thank you and goodbye.